Commissioners, if the meeting goes beyond 3, I may have to excuse myself.
Thanks for the heads up.
Well,
Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're ready to call this meeting to order. This meeting of the Elections Commission is called to order. It is 1 p.m. on January 16, 2024. This meeting is being conducted by video conference and is being recorded. All participants, except for the commissioners, will be muted until we take public testimony. All commissioners should have their cameras on for the duration of the meeting. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the swearing in of the new Election Commission chairperson. I will go ahead and hand it over to Deputy AG Reese Nakamura to administer the oath.
Commissioner Curtis, could you repeat after me? I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as an Elections Commissioner
and I will faithfully discharge my duties as Chair of the Election Commission
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the swearing in of new election member, Ralph Kushney.
Mr. Kushney, please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I will support and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as an Elections Commissioner
as an Elections Commissioner
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Thank you both.
All right. We'll then move on to roll call. I'll go ahead and take roll call now. Chair Curtis,
Here,
Commissioner Andrion,
Here.
Commissioner Aquino. Oh, Commissioner Aquino, I think you're muted.
Oh.
here you go.
Commissioner
Hi,
Kushney?
present.
Thank you. Commissioner Kushney,
Here,
Commissioner Kikuchi, Commissioner Kikuchi. I thought I saw him. Could we get Commissioner Kikuchi unmuted, please? We'll come back to Commissioner Kikuchi while we fix the audio. Commissioner Kuwata,
Present.
Commissioner McAdam,
Yeah.
Commissioner Papalimu, Commissioner Papalimu, you, Commissioner Takinaka,
Here.
and going back to Commissioner Kikuchi, were we able to fix the audio? Commissioner Kikuchi, can you hear?
We do have a quorum, yeah.
Yes, we do have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Okay. I will wait for Mr. Kikuchi to come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Official minutes of the last meeting were linked in the package attached. Are there any comments?
Comment. Chair.
Yes, sir.
In
Dylan.
the last meeting, I think it was you that raised the concern of actually having written minutes versus a written summary. I think it would be,
that was an executive session. We should talk about it here now.
you want to talk about an executive session, is that what you said?
No, our discussion previously was an executive session. I think
Okay, I see.
I put it on the agenda now. What would you like to add to that, Dylan?
I think it would be beneficial for us to reconsider having actual written minutes instead of the written summary. I understand there's a video recording, but I believe you raised the good point that only this commission can actually opt itself out of, not having actual minutes. I've never been a part of a board or commission where that was just done by the chair. And so I don't know how you want to handle that today, but I think that would be good for us to revisit. In my opinion, just looking at the written summaries, it doesn't give a full picture of some of the commentaries and some of the way that the meeting transpired. The video itself is very revealing, but I feel like the written minutes should show the same.
And I concur, and that was the gist of my discussion during executive session, including reference to statute or regulation that required written minutes unless you opt out. And I think the commission can opt out. I think it's beyond the chair's purview. And staff offered to me that Chair Anderson chose not to have written minutes. And I don't think that was within his authority. I think it's in the commission's authority. If anybody in the commission would like to opt out of written minutes, I would entertain a motion at this point. Otherwise, we will let the regulations rule that require written minutes for each election commission meeting. Is there any other discussion on the minutes?
Thank you, Chair.
I'm sorry, Mike. Can you repeat the motion? Is this a motion?
No, it's not.
So
It's
what are we doing?
what mine was an interpretation of the authority of the chair. I don't think the chair has, I don't have the authority to opt out of written minutes as required by regulation. Staff told me that Chair Anderson did opt out of written minutes previously. And I suggest to you now that the commission has that authority. I, as chair, don't have that authority. So that if the commission did want to opt out of written minutes, you're welcome to it, to the discussion. But until then, it stands that the commission requires written minutes per regulations.
If I can just add one more thing, Mike, then if
Sure.
that's going to be the case, if they're going to be doing a more detailed minutes, right, rather than the summary, then can they continue to put in the time?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And for me, even the summary is acceptable for minutes, but formal minutes, written minutes are required by regulation. And this commission has not opted out of that. And staff needs to recognize that. The summary is a good summary, and that's what I need to see and read, because I need to be able to read it rather than sitting through 2 hours of video. Any other discussion on minutes?
No further discussion.
Then we'll open it to public testimony, and I will allow staff to coordinate that. I would ask AG Nakamura to comment, however, on the status of Ralph Kushney as a commissioner as well as a complainant. So,
would you like to, Chair Curtis, would you like to finish up with the minutes on the agenda first, and then I can go into the advisory?
okay, I'm done with the minutes unless any commissioner wants to address them.
I think we need a motion to approve. Is that what you're talking about, Reese?
Okay, so Dylan, you moved it. Is there a second to approve the minutes as was circulated in the links and the written summary?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Nakamura.
Thank you. I'd like to advise the commission on an issue involving Commissioner Kushney. Wish to advise that prior to this meeting, Commissioner Kushney submitted public testimony and a formal complaint to the commission regarding valid chain of custody, valid unique identifiers, and other issues, including post-election audits, which were brought before the courts but subsequently dismissed. Because Commissioner Kushney is also a complainant on these issues and is now a commissioner and therefore a member of the fact-finding tribunal, there is a conflict. Pursuant to HRS 11-8B6, Section B states, each elections commission member shall retain the right to, paragraph 6, otherwise participate fully in public affairs except as prohibited by law in a manner in which does not materially compromise the commission member's efficiency or integrity as an elections commissioner, or the neutrality, efficiency, or integrity of the elections commission. Because Commissioner Kushney has filed complaints with the commission and has also filed a public testimony for this meeting, he has a direct conflict. He is the complainant on the issues mentioned above, and therefore cannot be neutral in this dispute. He now must recuse himself from participating in deliberations, including discussions and taking actions such as voting on these issues. He must recuse because he cannot decide his own complaint. That's all I have, Chair.
I got a point of order.
Yes, Ralph.
Are you conflicted? Who do you represent? Do you represent the Office of Elections?
That's not on the agenda right now. You can talk about that later, but you are the first commenter, and I will ask staff to begin with the public testimonies.
I got a point of order. We need to resolve if Reese is conflicted also. According to 11 Rule 1.7, okay, I had to resign from the Board of Registrations. And what it says is on 78-4, Boards and Commissions, Service Limited, any other provision of law to the contrary, notwithstanding, no person shall be allowed to serve on more than one state board or commission expressly created by a state statute or state constitution.
Excuse me,
Okay,
we're on an agenda and we have public testimony.
But
You're welcome to start on your public testimony, which is limited by staff. Staff, would you recognize and initiate public testimony?
Yes, Chair. Okay. If you would like to testify, please click raise hand under reactions on Zoom. If you are joining us by phone, press *9. When recognized, please unmute your microphone before speaking. You may also turn on your video at this time. For the record, please state your first and last name and the items you will be testifying on. To ensure that we will have sufficient time to hear all testimony, each testifier will have 3 minutes to testify. Once your time has expired, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. The first testifier is Jamie Detweiler, followed by Adriel Lam.
Yes. Aloha, Chair Curtis and commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I will be testifying on item number 9 on today's agenda. The subject is the chain of custody. So some of you may have heard my previous testimony regarding chain of custody, and I see a lot of new people on today's call. So I'm going to highlight some of that previous testimony. I do stand on my written testimony that I submitted earlier or later last week. So the points I'd like to emphasize is the purpose of chain of custody is to provide security of our ballots, right? And so I've actually observed Dropbox during the 2022 election, specifically the Mililani Mauka Dropbox, and there was no chain of custody. So the people who were manning the box while people were dropping off ballots left at their, 15 minutes after the hour after the box was locked. The people coming to pick it up didn't come for over an hour. So there's no real handoff, no counts verified. So that's one break in the chain of custody. I also have observed during another part of the election on election day at Honolulu Hale, the ballot box outside of Honolulu Hale was stuffed and full. So they brought out a temporary box. You know, that's another questionable chain of custody, as well as any unused ballots for the people walking in to submit their votes. In 2022, I was a candidate for House District 37. I was concerned about these ballot chain of custody issues and requested an audit. And I sent that request via certified mail. And as of today, I have not received a written or a phone call response, no email response to my inquiry, and was told by Mr. Nago through a hearing at the legislature last year when he had to respond to one of our representatives' question as to why I did not receive a response. He said, well, you know, there could be some legal issues stemming from that. So I was told to refrain from responding at all. So I find this really unacceptable behavior. You know, there's no accountability. So how can we put our trust in the election system if we cannot verify chain of custody? Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I yield.
Thank you.
Before we move on to the next testifier, Chair, I'd like to announce that Commissioner Papalimou has joined the meeting.
Yes, thank you.
And also, I want to note that we do have a timer on our Elections Commission slide for those testifying. So we'll move on to the next testifier. Is Adriel Lam, followed by Wendell Alonso.
Mr. Lamb.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair. Thanks for the opportunity to testify, and thank you for holding this meeting again for the public to participate in this process. I did submit a public testimony, written testimony about my findings and analysis of the cast vote record from the 2022 general elections. I hope the commissioners are able to read through that and understand the issues at play. I highlighted three things: is that as an inventory of the votes that were cast in sequence during the 2022 general election, there seems to be some discrepancies about the record keeping of these ballots. In Maui County, we had front half of ballots. We actually had two files for the ballots, front and back half, but the numbers didn't match up. And in the sequence of the record keeping, there didn't seem to be very many. There were some gaps in front halves followed by back halves, and they were not in sequence as you would expect for a ballot. I would ask the commission to verify that this cast vote record is an accurate reflection of the physical ballots. There is the batch report at the end of the 22 general election that they have. Does that accurately reflect that report? And if so, why do we have these discrepancies? And is there explanations to why there are gaps within these sequence numbers and duplication of batch numbers? What were the reasons that the record keeping would have to use a batch number 4 times within the same county at different times during the recording process? We had a comment from the county clerk before about how our voter records are just too fluid to manage. It seems that when it comes to counting our ballots, it's becoming more apparent that it's also too fluid to manage. There's something going on, and we've asked about chain of custody. We've asked about how this procedure is done, and all of it's hidden behind a level of security. I would ask the commissioner who has the level of clearance to be able to review these security procedures and who's the expertise on it. I've held a top secret clearance in my career in the military, and there are some things, the security procedures that I see around these things do not even match up to what we are. Well, I guess the lack of disclosure, transparency on these security procedures also gives the suspicion that it's already been compromised. When you look at the data, it looks compromised. And if you don't have this proper security procedures in place, who else also knows about it? You've all heard about leaks within the military, leaks within highly classified information. Information is out there that people are using that to compromise our election systems. Do we have the assurance that this data that we've recorded and made to the public has not been compromised and has not been manipulated? So I asked the commission to verify that, you know, this cast vote record is an accurate reflection of your physical ballots, and to make that check and also provide a explanation of why we have these gaps of sequences and duplication of numbers. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you.
Next testifier is Wendell Alento, followed by Kareem Solomon.
Mr. Alento? Mr. Alento? Thank you. Moved on to Ms. Solomon.
Good afternoon, Elections Commission. I apologize. I'm actually in my car, so I can't really safely testify and drive at the same time, but I would like to refer you to the document that I submitted for my written testimony, and it covers some data collection that I did, and I think there were some interesting findings in there. I was interested in looking at the signature curing process that I wanted to collect data for a couple counties. Well, I guess I am testifying after all. And I actually stopped the study short because I was having people mail in through my one-page survey that said that they were never contacted by the county clerks to cure their ballot. And I had some mail that came back undeliverable, and it was the same address to which ballots were mailed. So I think that we need to take a good hard look at the curing process and see if we're doing it equally across counties. And I'd also like to point out, I think it'd be really nice if the county clerks could attend the meetings too, because we discuss things that are not just the purvey of the chief elections officer. And I will yield now so that I can drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solomon.
Chair, I have a question for the testifier, if that's okay. And if she's safe.
Let's do it after the testimonies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
I'll ask the commissioners for items that need to be further considered on future agendas at the end of these testimonies.
Next testifier is Tom Stanton, followed by Scott Shedko.
Aloha, Tom Stanton, KRP District 15 Chair and KRP Election Integrity Chair. I'll be testifying under ballot chain of custody and also state versus county responsibilities. In the 2022 election cycle, Kauai election volunteers covered literally every aspect of our election process. And as such, we learned a tremendous amount that I think can actually be helpful to this body to advise the Office of Elections. We also discovered significant problems. One of those problems was ballot chain of custody. It was determined in writing and confirmed that our elections division cannot provide accurate numbers for the daily ballots they receive from either drop boxes or the U.S. Postal Service. This is completely unacceptable. It's also a violation of HAR 3-177-453, and it's unnecessary because I personally confirmed that the observers that go to our drop boxes fill out logs that give accurate numbers. I've also confirmed with the head of the elections division that there's a postal receipt for the ballots that are coming in that is done by weight, but I know for a fact that can be highly accurate. Thirdly, all the ballots on Kauai are scanned daily for the signature verification process, and that also provides a number. So I would ask this body to please advise the Office of Elections to put in procedures so every county can have proper chain of custody. Another issue we had on Kauai was with our signature verification. First of all, to our elections division credit, They were the only elections division in the state that allowed political party members to observe the signature verification process. Every every county in the state should allow that. And the reason for that is because we discovered a significant problem with the ballot signatures. Our observers in the 2022 general election observed that as many as 12% of all ballots that came through the signature verification process did not have a matching signature on file from the voter, which meant that thousands of ballots had to go to a supervisor to be reviewed behind closed doors. Again, completely unacceptable. We need to change that. Thirdly, to Kauai's credit, we were the only county in the state that was able to do the HRS 1642 audit with the paper ballots. And the reason that was so important is because ballot images can be corrupted. It's proven. I've submitted evidence. We were able to do that. Excuse me. Okay. We were able to do that because we kept the ballots sorted from the elections division. And once they were sorted at the elections division, we just simply asked the counting center to keep them sorted and boxed by precinct. Because of that, we were able to get those boxes and review the actual voter verifiable paper audit trail, which is the paper ballots.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is my time done?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Next testifier is Scott Shedko, followed by Doug Pasnick.
Hello, Election Commission, Scott Shedko, live in Kaneohe. It's really windy here. I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today. I will be testifying on agenda item 9. I would like to first congratulate new Commission Chair Michael Curtis, as well as new Commission member Ralph Kushney. Thank you, as well as the other members, for stepping up. It's an honor to speak to you because I honestly believe you have the most important positions in our government. If citizens' votes are not accurately counted, then we are no longer America. We're just another oligarchy with a few pulling the strings for the benefit, for their own benefit, the demise of everyone else. I do want to also congratulate Kauai for how well they're conducting their elections. Unfortunately, for most of the state and the country, voter confidence is at an all-time low, with less than 50%, probably actually closer to 30%, expressing confidence that our elections are conducted accurately and fairly. I would characterize this as a crisis, and that it's imperative to restore voter confidence. I'm happy to see that chain of custody is one of the agenda items today. I have heard that, I've heard it estimated a mail-in ballot is touched by approximately 30 different hands. And most, if not all of these handoffs are without any chain of custody. There really only needs to be 2 hands touching each ballot, the voter who fills out the ballot and the person who counts it. The person who counts it should be observed by at least 1 member from each party. There's no legitimate business that would tolerate or survive if their inventory control was as loose as our election system is with our precious, emphasize precious, votes. The elections.hawaii.gov says it is the duty of the Elections Commission to investigate and hold hearings for receiving evidence of any, I emphasize any, violations and complaints. I would like to know, question for anyone on the commission, when was the last time an investigation was conducted? What was it about? What was the result of the investigation? And in conclusion, thank you again for this opportunity to testify. Thank you for hearing our concerns. Thank you in advance for looking into the complaints presented here today. Thank you for stepping up to secure and increase voter confidence in our elections. Please let me know if
Mr.
there's anything
Shedko.
I can do to help.
Thank you, sir.
Next testifier is Doug
Yep.
Pasnick, followed by Anne Marie Hamilton.
As it relates to agenda items 11, 7, and 8. Commission members, as you likely know, the bill relating to elections.
You're coming in garbled. I don't know whether it's your connection or what.
Okay, maybe my connection. If I slow down, I may exceed my time, so I'll slow down and let me know if that helps.
Thank you.
Act 136 was a bill for an act relating to elections, expanded mail-in voting statewide beginning in 2020. In this act, the legislature noted that an increasing number of Hawaii voters were submitting their votes by mail, along with incorrectly claiming that 83% voted absentee in 2014. The real number was 51.2%. The legislature used this trend as the primary reason to shift the state to vote by mail, and stated that expanding the program throughout the state would significantly reduce the logistic issues related to conduction of elections. Act 136 purpose was to implement vote by mail, but with no stated objective to enhance voter turnout, improve accuracy, nor reduce the costs associated with elections, and with no stated accountability metrics for implementation by the Office of Elections, other than to produce an annual progress report. Mr. Nago, in the October 2023 implementation of elections by mail report to the Hawaii State Legislature, you stated that the Office of Elections goals are to conduct honest and efficient elections, encourage participation in the electoral process, protect voter rights, and promote elections. These suggestions still true? Mr. Curtis and fellow commissioners, with these goals in mind, I request you observe the following. This graph visually presents 30 years of open source data from the Office of Elections website regarding Hawaii general elections that were conducted between 1992 and 2022, and with those years identified along the bottom. On the left side is a number of people scale, and the solid black population line near the top is plotted reflecting the population increase and decrease in Hawaii for the past 30 years. Note that Hawaii's total population peaked in 2016 to 2018 and then began declining towards 2022. The solid green line shows the number of registered voters in the state plotted against the scale on the left, and the dashed green line with spot numbers shows the trend. The last line on the graph is a solid red line, which shows the percentage of registered voters that voted in each of Hawaii's state general elections since 1992 and is referenced to the percentage scale on the right. Similarly, the dashed line represents the trend. I respectfully request you now note the following. Despite a declining Hawaii population, voter registration increased by 111,000 after a population peak in 2016 to 2018. 2022, which was the second vote by mail year, had the lowest voter turnout. Only 48.87% of registered voters voted, despite the convenience of the transition to vote by mail. Act 136 expanded vote by mail to reduce logistical issues and related to operating polling places, and with the intent that resulting savings would be passed on to public financing of elections. In 2019, the Office of Elections projected a reduced cost. Okay, well, I asked for the time because the bandwidth is limited, and if you're not familiar, there's a pretty good windy storm going on the island, and I'm almost complete, so give me 1 minute. The 2020
30 seconds. Go.
2019 Office of Elections projected a reduced cost, yet the expenses in 2020 were 32% over the forecast cost. In 2022, the election was 22% more expensive. And those election expenses are prorated and passed on to the counties. So what I'm asking, I respectfully request the Elections Commission investigate how the Office of Elections implementation of vote by mail has demonstrated efficiency, encouraged participation, and promoted participation in Hawaii's elections. It appears from this data that implementation of vote by mail has done nothing but inflate costs, reduce voter confidence, and reduce turnout, despite the convenience of mail to the
Yep, time's up. Thank you.
Next testifier is Anne Marie Hamilton, followed by Lynn Sarayan.
Yes, this is Anne Marie Hamilton. I'm from Kauai. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Honorable Election Commission members, proper chain of our ballots is a non-negotiable, critical component of ensuring our votes are counted as cast. In fact, it is required in Hawaii State Code 3-177-453 under accountability and security of ballots. And I will quote the law. Item A, the chief election officer or designated representative shall maintain a complete count of ballots. All ballots shall be safeguarded to prevent mishandling or misuse. Item B, the clerk shall maintain a complete and current count of all ballots issued, spoiled, and received in their county. The accounting of ballots by the clerk shall be recorded on forms prescribed by the chief election officer. That is the law, and it should now be very clear to all of you on this commission that a preserved record of chain of custody of ballots is required in all elections. Yet in an email dated January 27th, 2023, from Lyndon Yoshiaka, a Kauai elections administrator, to a concerned citizen regarding the complete lack of chain of custody that occurred in the last election, the election administrator stated that, quote, the chain of custody process was developed for our own internal use and is not mandated by Hawaii law, unquote. This is an election administrator stating that chain of custody is not required and is not mandated by Hawaii law. A shocking statement, to say the least. In another email from the same elections administrator dated August 4th, 2022, he states, and I quote, manual counts are only used to gauge workflow and resource allocation, unquote. Inferring again that chain of custody is not mandated by Hawaii law, when it most certainly is. Now I ask you, how can election officials with a clear conscience certify the Hawaii elections when an election law as important as chain of custody is completely and arrogantly dismissed? Not only dismissed, but the election official was not even aware it's an election law. The seriousness of this complete disregard for the important rules of election processes by election officials cannot be understated. Ensuring the sanctity of the chain of custody is perhaps the truest measure that our ballots are being counted as they are cast. Once you disregard and ignore chain of custody, all other measures of election integrity become a moot point.
Thank you.
Simply because without proper documented confirmed chain of custody of ballots, you cannot verify that the ballots have not been tampered with.
You made your point. Thank you.
Am I done? Is that it? Okay, thank
Sorry.
you. I guess I went.
Sorry, next testifier is Lynn Sarayan, followed by iPhone.
Aloha, my name is Lynn Sarayan. I'm going to be testifying on agenda item number 11, which, and it's going to be echoing a little bit what we've just heard previously as well. I've been following what's going on in our elections closely since 2020, and a large portion of the issues also that are being raised here today and that have been raised ever since, and the concerns and the evidence provided are all related to the all mail-in ballot and machine counting process. And could be resolved if we were to revert back to the system we have had in place in Hawaii for over 60 years with hand-counted paper ballots. As was shared here previously, the decision to switch to the all paper ballots was made by the legislature, and it was claimed to increase voter turnout. And to my understanding, and as was just shared as well, based on some erroneous statistics about voter turnout at the time. So how does the Office of Elections explain the lowest voter turnout at I saw this statistic of 41%, 48% that was just mentioned here in the past 5 election cycles in 2022, the second year of the all mail-in ballot process. an analysis should be conducted, and data and explanation should be provided. Further, it is my belief that any state and county agency should hold a fiduciary responsibility to the public. The mail-in ballots epically failed to bring about their promised benefits. And then we have the question of what is it? Does it stack up sort of in terms of its cost, and does that justify it? It's brought about a lot of questions, proven serious issues and concerns. And so I think that in the interest of determining whether there's any value to the mail-in ballots, or if we're just, looking at a higher price to the public here, the Office of Elections should publish the costs associated with running the elections in the past with the in-person voting by paper ballots versus the cost of the all mail-in voting system we have today during the last 2 election cycles, as well as the cost of transitioning to this process. And to be very clear, it should show the cost per voter turnout as well. In summary, we basically had the decision made based on erroneous data, that claimed benefits that were not realized, and is, looking like it's costing us more money and raising all of these concerns and questions and doubts with our election process. So I hope that, with the new members of this commission and the new chair, that these concerns that we've raised, many times over the years now, will actually be taken seriously, and that these matters will be looked into. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next testifier is iPhone, followed by Andy Crossland.
Aloha and good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Anna Mo-Des. For the record in the minutes, it's spelled A-N-A space M-O space D-E-S. And I am the county chair for the Republican Party, on Kauai. I also signed a lawsuit along with the other county chairs at that time and our state chair at that time and our national committee woman to sue the state for failure to follow the law regarding audits. This did make it to the judge, and the judge agreed with the Hawaii Republican Party that the state failed to follow the law. I just claimed that there was no one that was hurt by it, so it didn't move forward. But our intention is for the state to follow the law regardless, and that should be the purview of the Elections Commission to ensure for all voters that the law is being followed regarding the ballot, the audits. Here on Kauai, that would mean 10% is 2 precincts. We had a volunteer on the ground that understood this and asked for the ballots to be organized by precincts in that time. So that was able to happen, but only for 2 of the races. The law requires all races be audited for 10% of the precincts. For Kauai, that is 2 precincts. And we demand and will not tolerate anything less than the law being followed to the letter. So if we can have volunteers on the ground having the ballots be organized by precincts, we are able to do this here on Kauai because, as stated previously by a testifier, Tom Stanton is the elections integrity chair and is able to coordinate volunteers, even create a new position, having signature verification observation be one of the volunteer positions. If need be, we can create more volunteer positions just to hold that possibility of organizing each precinct as the ballots come in. So when the audit comes, we pull out those 2 randomly selected precincts and verify that each race is audited properly by the original ballots. As stated before, we cannot believe that anything else in the original ballots would give the proper audit for our satisfaction. For Kauai, this is something that we are very capable of doing, and I believe that the Elections Commission should ask the entire state, all of the counties, to participate in this way and ensure that the law is followed. In conclusion, this is a matter of the state versus county responsibilities. I can only speak on for Kauai, but I believe every county of the state feels the same, that the law should be followed regarding the ballots. 10% of the precincts, all races be shown by original ballots. Mahalo.
Next testifier Andy Crossland, followed by Gary Cartery.
Hello, Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the Commission holding this meeting to hear testimony from the public. And I'd like to submit testimony for Section 7 under state versus county responsibilities. Basically, what I would like to do is I'd like to show some video evidence of, first off, the Chief Elections Officer, Scott Nago, and also the Honolulu County Clerk, Glenn Takahashi, talking about postal issues and voter rolls.
So people get a ballot in the mail, you have to convince them it's real. Yeah, that's the hard part. Scott Nago is the Chief Elections Officer for the state of Hawaii. What explain that? Do you think that big change?
You know, as an election official, I want to say it's because of the mail. I don't know if that's really true.
550,000 registered voters, and there's no such thing as a perfect address list. In fact, of that amount, I believe 60,000 of that amount is confirmed to have some type of postal issue associated with them.
Do you have a sense of how inflated our voter registration numbers are with potentially bad addresses or people have moved or people have died?
Well, there's a little less than 100,000 of those addresses are not active voters.
80,000 out of 560,000. That's about 14%, quote, deadwood or inflation of the rolls.
So I find this to be unacceptable, and I think that everybody else should find this to be unacceptable as well. And I would like to know who's responsible for solving these issues, postal issues, voter rolls. It doesn't seem like the state or the county is taking responsibility for these things. So next, I'd like to show some footage from a previous Elections Commission meeting that is very revealing, and I'm not sure that this is the intent of the Elections Commission, where they don't understand our voting systems.
We don't have an encrypted database. We haven't done penetration testing. We don't have an air gap system. That means that many people have the ability to go into our systems and make the data be what they want it to be.
Believe me, I know zip about computers.
I didn't understand most of what you said at the last meeting.
And I don't either, and believe me, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. You know, we use a very large company out of Texas that does this whole thing.
It cannot be that whatever this company is that we're using is doing the extent of what is needed.
I only talked to the guy for like 20 minutes and my brains were falling out of my ears.
You need to conclude.
I want to know what our system does and should be doing and can do. They're the ones who know. You don't know. I don't know. I want to read from people who know what the heck they're talking about.
This room is limited. Software is proprietary.
So
Thank you.
in conclusion, I would just like to state that the Elections Commission holds these meetings, but nothing ever seems to actually get done. No investigations, no hearings are ever held. And I would like to respectfully request that if the elections commissioners do not understand our voting systems, that they should resign. And also Scott Nago should be removed as the chief election officer because he has clear disdain
Thank
for
you.
our voting systems and understanding of them.
And
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Next testifier is Gary Cartery, followed by Austin Morton.
Aloha. Thank you, Election Commission officers. I know that you're not getting rich in this position. And the only real responsibility or direction you have is your personal integrity with regard to overseeing the elections in Hawaii. I think those images we just saw are shocking. I think the graph we saw earlier was also very revealing. And I was a candidate for governor in 2022. I went throughout the communities, throughout the state, all the islands. I talked to many thousands of people. Many of them said, I'm not voting. I've never voted. Why should I vote? What is the purpose? It doesn't matter. This is the issue before us. And I believe this is part of the mandate that you carry and the responsibility that actually causes you to exercise your self-government, and that personal integrity must be employed. I'm going to actually read a statement. I want to be clear about what I'm saying. But after running for office, I became very aware and intimately acquainted with breakdowns and things that weren't working properly. And the one thing that I noticed more than all others is the willful disregard for the state constitution and its laws regarding voting and processes. And now we see across our nation, in this state, even in Hawaii, a certain sense of lawlessness in the land. And if our elected officials, those in the highest seats of government in this state, do not follow the law, how is it we expect the citizens to follow the law? So I would like to read this statement. My request is that you would actually consider it from a place of honor and integrity, and that you would stand with your consciences clear and make the right decisions and move on behalf of the people. So I'm presenting this testimony as it relates to an agenda item and the oath of office you have just taken as members of the Election Commission. As you know, the duties of the Elections Commissions include receiving complaints, collecting evidence, and holding hearings regarding violations in the conduct of elections. And I provide this testimony today with the request that you will investigate this matter. On Monday, December 5th, 2022, an inauguration ceremony was held for the transition of the state of Hawaii government executive leadership at the Blaisdell Arena in Honolulu, Hawaii. Reportedly, more than 700 witnesses were in attendance. Governor Ige was in attendance and oversaw the proceeding, wherein Chief Justice Reckenwald publicly administered the public oaths of office to the then Lieutenant Governor Green and House Representative Luke, and presented those candidates as they were lawfully elected governor and lieutenant governor of the state of Hawaii. On the date of this inauguration proceeding, the 2022 general election had not been certified by the Office of Elections officers as required by law. On the date of this inauguration, the general election remained a contested election. Due to the three grievances which were pending adjudication in the Hawaii Supreme Court and the United States District Court of Hawaii, and which, if found to be true, would invalidate the results of the election. On Monday, December 12th, 2022, a week after the ceremony, during opening comments for the Elections Commission's meeting, then Chair Scotty Anderson opened with an announcement stating, quote, "The election has not been finally certified." As well, the Elections Commission's meetings reported that due to pending litigation with the state of Hawaii Supreme Court, Chair Anderson announced that the 2022 general election had not been certified. Today, Mr. Nago. In the October 2023 implementations of elections by mail report to the Hawaii State Legislature, you stated that, quote, "For the general election, the certification of results impacts the dates the elected candidates take office." Clearly, this is a misleading claim, as the people just witnessed the 2022 governor's inauguration occurred before the general election was certified.
Thank you.
I'm not done. I am here to testify that the lawful election of the people is fundamental to the functioning of our republic form of government and ensuring the transfer of responsibilities to the public servants who are beholden to protect the public trust and the Constitution in upholding the law. Am I cut off? If I'm not, the certification of the election is a critical step.
Thank you.
Next testifier is Austin Martin, followed by Steve Yoder.
Thank you for having me today. I apologize for any wind noise in the background. My name is Austin Martin. I'm the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Hawaii, and I was the Libertarian Party's only election observer in 2022. Before I get on to my testimony affecting several of today's agenda points, I first want to note that there was a point of order on the floor which was failed to receive a ruling, and Mr. Nakamura is most certainly the most conflicted person I could imagine to weigh in on this, who tirelessly defends all the characters who are currently under investigation, who are currently part of this. I want this investigated, and I'm asking this commission to do a formal investigation on the complaints of these fine people who showed up and took the time and took the risk to report this information to you, and it is a risk. As an observer, I was threatened with arrest and much worse for trying to report simple systems alterations and misconduct. Because you guys obviously don't know a whole lot about the computer system, I'll just lay it out really simple. They replaced critical components in your computer system that would have left the entire county and indeed the entire state open to hacking attacks. The 2022 election is not secure. It almost certainly was hacked because there is no excuse for making those particular modifications at the time that they were made. The book that they give to the observers says, if you see this, report it. Well, to whom? The observers are tokens. We are jokes. We have no audit power. We have no ability to see anything. We are handled from the moment we get in there to the moment that we leave. And if we notice anything that we're not supposed to, we are immediately treated like criminals. I was able to find an unlocked and unsecured door with secret server equipment that was not registered and was not supposed to be part of the system. And it was plugged into a regular Ethernet cable into the wall like your home internet service. I saw them plug into a regular modem fresh out of the box that appeared to have been bought from Walmart. It was not part of the special system. It was not part of the inventory. I saw this stuff and I reported it personally to Mr. Nago, and he removed me from that meeting as well, refusing to speak with me, refusing to hear this. These are security concerns. Like, if we care about the security of the election, whether or not the votes are being handled properly, then we need basic accounting procedures that allow us to see transparently what is happening. The observers, whatever you're getting from them, it's token. We have no ability to verify any of these results. And if we have any problem with them, we are promptly removed from duty. Mr. Nakamura falsely represented Mr. Scott Nago's position as me being disruptive, which is a false characterization of the comments that I made to Hart InterCivic personnel. They lied to me on the spot. The system was connected to the internet. It was open to hacking. They lied on the spot, and I have a 5-hour recording of every minute I spent inside with these people that I'm happy to provide to anyone who wants to know what it's like to be an observer in this hellish election system. It is unbelievable what we're dealing with, and I urge you all, most seriously, this is not a partisan issue. This is not a Republican issue. This is not a Democrat issue. This is our elections being threatened. Are they being threatened by China, Russia, corporations? It doesn't matter. It is being threatened, it is unsecure, and people are right not to trust it. And until you guys change it, and the only way to fix this trust is simple. We need clean paper elections. So simple, the ancient Greeks can do it, you can too. It takes about 6 hours to count by precinct all of Hawaii, and that's all we need to get our elections secure and restore people's confidence. I have a lot of things that I've witnessed, and I would be happy to take questions. 3 minutes is not enough to relay the experiences that I had, but thank you for giving me this time, and thank you for sitting on this commission. I know it's a difficult job, and I appreciate you all doing it with honor. With that, I yield.
Thanks, Mr. Martin.
Next testifier is Steve Yoder, followed by Brett Culpis.
Thank you, Chair, for taking my testimony. I too, as a candidate like Gary Cordray, I ran for my House district rep position in 2020 and 2022. So I was not allowed to be a part of the process of observing the election. Much of what I found out was taking place during the mail-in process, where people contacted me as county chair that they received multiple ballots. One woman contacted me, she received 5. Now these are anecdotal, but still it was a phone call that was made to me. In 2020, during the primary, I have a person who contacted me that he was not able to acquire his ballot due to travel to Brazil. His ballot had followed him all over the country. So I went to the Office of Elections at Kauai, found his ballot, and they gave it to me, which I don't think they're supposed to. I'm glad they did. And I drove to Princeville. He couldn't vote for me, so he's not in my district. But I went to Princeville, laid it in front of his door because this is during COVID. It was a lockdown situation. He voted, shoved it out from under the door. I collected it and put it in the ballot box in his neighborhood. This too is an infraction. The purpose of us having mail-in ballots was to lower the cost. It has done nothing but cause confusion and has caused concern over the validity of our votes. Plus, it costs us more. A couple more things here real quick. paper ballots in Iowa, and this goes to Austin's testimony. Paper ballots last night in the caucus, 99% of the precincts were counted with 1% left over, which I believe were probably provisional votes, within 3 hours after the caucus closing. They did the same thing in Florida with paper ballots in the 2022 election. So this whole idea of mail-in voting is wrong. It's convoluted and it doesn't work and it costs too much. It met none of the goals that the state legislators set forth. My last point is this. Chair Curtis, will you and the others in the commission submit this information to our state legislators, both the House, Senate, and the House of Representatives, to help them see what a debacle this voting process is? So I'd like that question answered during my submission of testimony. Will you submit this information on these testimonies to our state legislators? Please answer.
Available to them.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
It will be available to them. Yes.
Thank you. I yield.
Thank you.
Next testifier is Brett Colbus, followed by Mary.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Happy New Year. My name is Brett Colbus. I'm a resident of Ebbet Beach. I was actively involved as the Honolulu County Chair in the 2022 elections, both at the State Counting Center and the Voting Service Center here in Oahu. I would like to remind the committee and the people watching, the county has several roles in the process. They manage the voter rolls. They're responsible for mailing out the ballot packets. They're responsible for the receipt of the mail-in ballots. They do the signature verification of mail-in ballots. They have to cure signature errors, and they do the collection of drop boxes. I would recommend that this committee coordinate with the county elections officers to develop administrative rules to synchronize these processes across the state. Because as we have heard in this committee meeting and previous committee meetings, the processes are not the same on Oahu as what they do on Kauai or Maui or the Big Island. I believe that it is within your authority to develop a Hawaii administrative rules that could address these. I will note that one of the things I had recommended to the Honolulu County Office of Elections last year that I have been informed that they are going to take up this year when they mail out the ballot packets. I had recommended on the very front of the ballot packet, there be a statement that if the individual or resident that it's addressed to is no longer living at the location, that they return the ballot packet to the County Office of Elections, because the County Office of Elections will use that to identify a voter that has moved so that they don't get sent a mail-in ballot at the next primary. And that really starts the trigger for them to remove that individual from the voter rolls in accordance with federal law. I yield.
Thank you.
Next testifier is Mary, followed by Wendell Alento.
Hello, my name is Mary Healy. Thank you, Chair, for listening to my testimony today. I'm giving testimony today to support my fellow citizens, your constituents, who have become increasingly concerned about the election process in our state. The mail-in ballot process has failed in their promised benefits. We in Hawaii have serious issues in our chain of custody process. Our voter rolls are unsatisfactory and we have inadequate observers. Mr. Martin's testimony today was particularly concerning. In Hawaii, we have little to no ballot chain of custody and require no voter ID on our ballots. Transparency and accountability is essential to our election process and certification of our elections. If we don't have integrity and confidence in our elections, then we are not living in a free state. I gave testimony against HB 132 in March of 2023, which looked to change our audit process. Now I'm here to ask you to listen carefully to the testimony given today. I chose to vote in person in 2022, in the 2022 election because I had become increasingly concerned that my mail-in ballot was not being counted. I was shocked to see the difference between the mail-in ballot process versus voting in person. When you remove the ballot from the mail-in envelope, the signature becomes separated from the ballot. The concern is important for this for your citizens of the state. The people's right to vote is sacred and is the essence of what makes the Republic of the United States a shining light of freedom for the world. I'm also here to remind you that you work for us, and we want to have confidence in our election process. The buck stops with you. Thank you for listening to my testimony, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mary.
Next testifier is Wendell Alenzo.
I had prepared words for this, but I'd like to offer my services. Like to offer volunteer work for the Election Commission to help with, there are a lot of affidavits that were submitted for the 2020 and 2022 elections. If I could help organize all of that for you so that you can see the amount of information there. I also submitted testimony back in January 2022, January 11th meeting, specifically about verifiable voter ballot, ballot, that we can follow that paper trail. I'd like to see if I could help you guys map out that process for the people. And also Act 136. There's so many lineouts. We need to clean that thing up because we don't know what is the real law versus what was crossed out. And because we got to make sure we know exactly what that law is saying, because it is the most, this is the worst written law in our books, really. I yield. That's all I have. So I'd like to offer my services to the commission. Thank you.
Next testifier is Laura.
Can't hear you, can see you. Can't hear you, can see you. Can't hear you, can see you. Thanks, Laura. Next.
Sir, there are no more testifiers.
Well, thank you. I think the next item on the agenda is that state and county responsibilities.
I have a point of order.
I requested that the each county elections official be represented here. What's your comment?
I have a point of order.
What is that?
What's that?
What is your point of order?
I need to answer what Reese Nakamura said. Okay.
Not at this point. Thank you.
Why not?
Because the agenda is state and county responsibilities. You can recuse yourself as a commissioner because you have a complaint, or you can retract. You can refuse to act on your complaint. I'm not going to discuss it now.
I'm rejecting his statement outright. So that needs to be discussed in the meeting.
It's not relevant to state and county responsibilities.
It's relevant to everything.
State and county responsibilities was circulated, and I invited.
Would you hear me out? I have a point of order that has not been heard.
I've heard it and rejected it.
You have not. Nobody's heard it. I haven't been able to talk. You talk over me. I need to talk. I need to be able to stay. I reject his statement outright. He is the defense.
That's your statement, and we'll let it.
No, I need to back this up.
The state
Reese Nakamura is the defense
on our agenda.
Reese Nakamura is the defense attorney for the Office of Election.
It's not a discussion. This is an agenda item, and it's not a discussion. Your point of order has been taken. Thank you. The
I was-
state and county responsibilities are on the next item on the agenda. And I requested each elections county representative.
When will this be heard? When, at the end of the meeting? We need to talk about it during the meeting at some point. So when will it be
A
heard?
discussion, not a point of order. It's not an issue regarding Robert's Rules of Order. Right now.
The
you're
work
having
that
an
I've done,
argument.
the work that I have done is precisely why I've been appointed to the Elections Commission. And for Reese Nakamura to unilaterally come in and say that I need to recuse myself is wrong. So
that's not right, and I'm not going to hear it right now. We're on the agenda. You can put your argument in writing, and we can discuss.
No. This,
But right
this
now,
needs to be heard. This needs to be heard by the people that are out there. So I'll wait until the agenda items are over.
And we recognize that refusion. So right now, the agenda is the agenda item.
His item cannot stand. His item cannot stand as is.
It's not
So
relevant right now.
Commissioner.
It's not relevant right now. Right now, it's state and county responsibilities. And that's why I requested each of the county election officers to be present here so that they can hear the questions and will have their response on the agenda at the next meeting. Right now, the state and county responsibilities, the one circulated on page 115 to 118 of the agenda package is each have a hot link to each of the laws that are represented so that the commission as well as the public can look at this state and county responsibilities and look at the laws specifically. And I've asked the county elections officers to attend each of our meetings. I expect a meeting next month that we can discuss the input that was given at this meeting and have the responses from each of the county election officials as well as the state office of elections to the complaints and the information that was received in the public testimony today. We'll discuss that at the next meeting and as an agenda item. If you have any questions regarding the state and county responsibilities, we can discuss it now.
So I have a question. Who is in charge of certifying the election? Is the counties in charge of certifying their part of the election? And do they sign an affidavit that they're certifying the county election?
Which point in the state and county responsibilities are you asking about?
I'm asking on certification, if the counties certify their portion of the election.
Where is that on the state and county responsibilities list? Is it under state responsibilities or county responsibilities?
I don't know which one it is, but it gets bounced back and forth. I've asked repeated questions on that and I've not gotten an answer. I've written questions on this and I do not receive an answer. I've written to the county and I've written to the state. And so what I'd like to know is, does the county certify their elections and then pass it on to the state saying, I certified the county elections?
I think it's the state. In the past, it's been the state responsibility that the elections are certified by the Office of Elections and approved by this body. Yes, Scott.
Can I weigh in on that question?
Please.
So it depends on the election. So the state does certify the overall election. The counties do certify their county contest, or they issue their certificate of winners, as well as they certify the charter questions.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on state and county responsibilities? And what counties are represented here at this meeting?
So when on the ballot order.
Wait. What counties are represented at this meeting?
So I'm seeing Maui.
Chair, I
And
do
Big
see County of Hawaii.
Hawaii and Maui and Oahu and Kauai are missing. I think I would hope to make it their responsibility to attend future meetings.
Chair, I only see representation from County of Maui and County of Hawaii.
Thank you.
I would also like to add, Chair, that Commissioner Kikuchi is present in the meeting.
Thank you. Yes, I saw that. Thank you. That's good for the record. Commissioner.
I have a question on ordering ballots.
Commissioner Papalimo?
Yes, thank you. I had a point of information. I believe I had heard when you were taking testimony that if anybody on the call wanted to also give testimony to raise their hands, some of us raised our hands and then were not called for testimony.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is commission meeting. We're past the public testimony phase of this, and we're into the state and county responsibilities on the agenda.
Correct. I just want to make note that the hands that were raised that wanted to give testimony during the testimony time were not addressed. Just a note. Thank you.
Then I would like to go back then and ask the secretary to identify and give the opportunity of those with their hands up to.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Chair, the only individual that wasn't called was Commissioner Papalimo. But the others, Rosemary, Gary Cordery has been called, and then Laura's having technical difficulties. I do see Rosemary, Josh, okay.
I saw, but I didn't see her hand up, but I would give Rosemary 3 minutes for public testimony, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Rosemary, you're muted. There you go.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to speak and reiterate concerns raised by our other speakers regarding county and state responsibilities. I formally requested an investigation at the county level, County of Kauai, and I have been met with no response. I also sent a follow-up email to the county clerk's office. My request was for an investigation based on my findings as a signature verification observer. And this was in the general election 2022. I reported findings of 15% of our cast ballots that were rejected for no signature of record on file. The election was certified anyway. I did report it, and as another testifier has spoken to the issue of being an observer and reporting your findings and trying to get someone to investigate, which I have not been able to do, numerous attempts, county and state. County has taken a pass on this, and I say no response is a response. I would like someone to get back with me so that I can proceed. I also signed the lawsuit. HRS 1642 was in question. The state was sued. They did give their findings and again said no harm was done. I believe that harm is done when you break the law. We need to revisit that. And there was no curing here. There was no curing. I asked, What happened? What caused 15% of our cast ballots to be rejected? And how do you cure that? And their staff told me that they don't do that. They just give it to their supervisor to handle. And the report that Jade Tanagawa issued showed only 200 rejections reported. We saw at 150 to 200 a day during processing. We need an investigation. How do I go about getting that? And as far as mail-in ballots go, we need to get rid of them. New Hampshire has the same population that Hawaii has. They vote in person in one day. We can do it. Everyone has stated that it was implemented for cost saving and to raise voter participation. It did neither. We also on Kauai only have one voting facility on the entire island. And when I called, I was told we don't have precincts anymore. Everything is done by mail. That is a violation of the Constitution of the United States. We have the right to vote in person on paper in our precinct. Anything less is voter suppression. I yield. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
With everybody's permission, I'll roll back to Laura Nakane-Lua, who apparently is back online. Laura?
Thank you so much, Chair. Can you hear me okay now?
Yep, gotcha.
Thank you very, very much. I will make this as quick as possible. I really
You should do your driving as quick as possible so you're safe. Thank you.
I'll pow. Thank you, Chair. I first really did want to sincerely express my appreciation to the commissioners because I know that this is a difficult task. There's a lot of information out there and there are a lot of frustrated people out there. And I know that you've been approached many, many times. I've been, on these calls since 2020 December, and I am so heartened that we have folks who are starting to understand the process of the mail-in voting system and are serious about addressing concerns and hopefully looking into them and fixing them. The two things that I would like attention towards, or that I would like to request that you consider investigating, is what my good friend and county chair on Kauai mentioned, Anna Modez, which was that there was a lawsuit back in 23 over the 2022 election, and the simple issue of that lawsuit was that Mr. Nago and the Office of Elections was not following the law regarding specifically the auditing of the ballots. It is in our current law that we must retain paper ballots and then compare 10% of every precinct against paper ballots, pull those ballots and audit the vote against the electronic receipts that they actually count, against the paper ballot. So I would really, we have it on record. Anna was absolutely correct that the judge found that Mr. Nago admitted in court that he did not follow the law and audit against the paper ballots. He said, Your Honor, I audited against the receipts. It's the same thing. We don't believe that it is the same thing. That's number one. So it's on record, and I don't think that he would argue that fact. But as Anna pointed out, the judge found, well, what's the harm to the Hawaii Republican Party? And found that there was not enough harm done. So that's how that ended up. But there was an admittance by Mr. Nago that, and the deputy AG was in the courtroom as well, as was I. So that's number one. Number two, if you all can look into the chain of custody that we've mentioned a few times, I would ask that you also include, as the ballots are transferred or transported from point to point, parties in the state, Republican, Democrat, hopefully the Libertarians, have an opportunity to accompany those ballots. The one place that they do not have the opportunity to accompany those ballots is when the Office of Elections goes to the post office and picks them up in batches, picks them up in mass. We do not observe that, and I think that we should. I'd ask that you look into that. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Ms. Papalimu, you had your hand up. Did you want to make a comment on public testimony?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm speaking specifically to on the agenda, the mailing of ballots to neighborhoods and rural areas in the state of Hawaii that do not receive mail at their home. I think this is something that nobody even thought about when they decided to just go willy-nilly and mail them out all at one time because of COVID. We have the two largest neighborhoods in the nation, in the United States of America, on the island of Hawaii, Hawaiian Paradise Park and Ocean View. Neither of them get home delivery. So you are not mailing a ballot to a registered voter in HPP. You're mailing a ballot to a post office. And I am going to be very honest with you in speaking to one of the postmasters out in Kea'au. 47% of the people in HPP are on general delivery. They can't even get a post office box. And the wait is almost up to 2 years for a post office box. So the mailing of ballots is a sham. It's a sham. It's just getting stuff out there, and there is no follow-up on where it goes, whether they get picked up, where do all these ballots go that go to general delivery? Hundreds of ballots that go to general delivery at a post office. Are they being sent back? Are they being given to other people? Are workers taking them home? Is somebody coming along and using those? We don't know because there's no accountability there. Zero. And to have done this on our island, which is very rural, I think is a disservice to our people. And this is, when you're looking at Ocean View and HPP, these are neighborhoods that are located in one of the lowest economic areas of our island. So we're disenfranchising those who need to have the loudest voice. And I think it screams for us to go back to voting in person in our precincts throughout our rural islands. So that offers everyone the exact same opportunity. It's an equal opportunity. Everyone knows the date. Everyone has the time. Everyone will be able to get there because we can make sure buses are running. One day to vote. Everybody goes and votes in their neighborhood. And we don't have this problem where we're disenfranchising such large amounts of people on one island. And those aren't the only two neighborhoods. I just want you folks to know, those are the largest neighborhoods, but Hawaiian Beaches, no service. Some of Orchid Land, no service. Some areas in Volcano, no mail delivery. Some areas of Ka'u, no mail delivery. This is not just a two neighborhood problem. And this is something that really, as the commissioner for the island of Hawaii, this is my number one concern. Because if the job of the Office of Elections is to make sure that everyone has the opportunity, we are not doing that. If we had precincts in neighborhoods, one day of voting where everybody can come in, employers had to give you time off, make it during the weekday so we have bus service available. I mean, it just speaks to allowing people who live rurally, do not have addresses and mailboxes where their ballot can go to, who don't have transportation and can be transported on a workday. It speaks to giving them their voice back. And I really would hope that we will investigate and get some decent numbers so that we really know what we're working with here, and maybe make this a part of why we need to go back to one-day voting with paper ballots. Save us a bunch of money and stop overworking the U.S. Post Office. I think they need you know, they need as much help as they can get with just regular delivery instead of doing all of this for 14 days. Thank you very much.
With the Big Island election officials represented, would you like to offer some commentary on this? Why aren't these people getting mailed ballots? Scott, who's the Big Island rep on Island or on the call?
Chair, we had,
Hello,
oh,
I'm here.
Please and thank you.
Hi, Chair Curtis. Aloha. This is John Henrik, County Clerk for the County of Hawaii.
So aloha, John.
You were aware of this problem and
I'm not aware of a problem per se.
okay.
You know that whenever a voter registers to vote, they provide us with a mailing address, and that's the address that we use. May not necessarily be to their home. It might not even be to their PO box. I'm not sure. We don't question them on that. So every time somebody registers to vote, we get a mailing address to make sure that we have a place that they've selected to receive their mail. And we've never received any correspondence from our voters in any way, shape, or form indicating that they had any issues with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just wanted to note that thank you for inviting me. I do need to leave at 2:45 for another commitment. So I just want to let you know that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maui had a representative on the call.
yes, Chair. We have County Clerk Moana Lufudi.
Would they care to comment?
Hi, Chair. We handle things the same way as the Big Island.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioner discussions on voters who are not serviced regular U.S. Postal Service?
Do we have a number on the Big Island of how many of our voting ballots are going to general delivery?
Big Island answered the response and said that they mail to the mailing address of each registered voter.
Correct. I was just wondering if we had a count of how many go to general delivery and don't have a post office box. So that ballot is just floating around in a post office.
Is there an answer to that? Do you know the?
No, I don't know that. We don't really analyze the discrepancies between how people receive their mail.
When things are returned back from the post office, what do you do then?
When things are returned back from the post office?
Right, do ballots come back to you folks from the post office?
You mean completed and?
No, are undeliverable
undeliverable.
or aren't picked up.
That becomes part of our system now, where we need to try to work with our voter to get a more current mailing address, and even perhaps a residence address at that point.
So you folks are monitoring those then? You do have a number for that?
Well, I don't have a number on hand per se, and it changes from election to election, but it's not.
Right. Okay, that's perfect. I'll come down. I'll come visit the office so I can get some numbers from you. Thank you very much.
But that identifies a metric for me, is that I've received registered voters, ballots mailed, ballots returned and counted, ballots returned deficient from the County of Kauai. And it was referenced earlier that 233 ballots were returned deficient, and in most cases, probably without a signature. Are there any other commissioner want to comment on the voters who are not serviced by regular U.S. Postal Service?
Do we know what the total number is of returned ballots that are returned to the post office without being delivered?
No, we don't.
So
we should have that number. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
I mean, what kind of percentage are we talking about?
Like, I would have to go back and check, but we do have to report that number to the federal government about number of ballots received. And that's also what starts our list maintenance process. So the only way we can remove a voter is if that piece of election mailing comes back. That's why everything is not portable. So when it comes back to us, we start the process of sending them out another portable piece of mail and putting them on a to general election cycle before we can finally remove them from the rolls. And that's a federal law. That's the National Voter Registration Act.
And these are part of the metrics that we've discussed earlier. And I received from the county of Kauai, but nobody else, is registered voters by precinct, registered voters, ballots mailed, ballots returned counted, and ballots returned deficient. Would like to add a metric of ballots returned undeliverable.
Yes.
And would like to have that at next month's meeting, please, Scott and other counties.
Okay.
Any other discussion on voters who are not serviced by regular U.S. Postal Service? Then we'll move on to ballot chain of custody. Ralph, you had some issues with chain of custody?
So I've turned in a substantial amount of evidence showing that the county and the state knows that they are not keeping chain of custody documentation. And I've asked the county of Kauai, and I've sent emails to Office of Elections prior to the 2022 election. So what I found out on Kauai for the 2020 election last July was that there was a 3,379 vote count difference between the state's numbers and the county's numbers. The county had received less ballots than the state reported. And I dug into that, trying to find out how that could happen. And I wrote a ton of emails. I think I got 50 pages of emails that I submitted as evidence. And coming up to 2022 election, I wrote everybody and say, you need to keep chain of custody. So it wasn't just negligence, it was willful negligence.
Is this part of your complaint that was filed as part of this batch?
Yes, it's in the email documentation that I sent in. So I'm going to take a question off of the Office of Elections website. The question is to Mr. Nago, how do you ensure election officials don't throw away ballots?
And that's a negative that can't be answered. So
well, no, it's on the Office of Elections website.
With this chain of custody thing, you filed a complaint with chain of custody to where that complaint puts you in a conflict situation as a commissioner.
Okay, so let's discuss that as a point of order.
Okay.
Okay, so
can you be neutral on this question as a commissioner?
Absolutely.
But you seem so committed to it.
Well, I've reached out and asked the county of Kauai to. There's a law on the books that says you're supposed to keep chain of custody. Yes. I reached out to the county of Kauai and I asked them. I said, please keep chain of custody documentation. Their reply to me was that there is no law and we don't need to keep chain.
So I think that question's been raised by several testifiers today. And I would ask a response from each of the counties at the next commission that we would have these metrics of registered voters, ballots, and as well as a process for chain of custody. And I'll ask that for discussion at the next meeting. It was raised by several of the people and it's recognized as a concern. I'll ask for the county's responses as well as the Office of Elections responses on the agenda at next month's meeting. Ballot unique identifiers.
So wait. The question I asked, Scott Nago can answer that question. It's in the website.
Wait. You filed a complaint concerning chain of custody with the Elections Commission. Is that correct?
Okay, so
did you file a complaint?
Okay, so let's get into.
Did you file a complaint, Ralph? Ralph, did you file a complaint?
Yes, I did. It's not been answered.
Thank you. Then that eliminates your neutrality as a commissioner. So I would ask that you not comment on this issue again as in your position as commissioner.
We need to address this issue that you're talking about right now. So
the issue is your
under-
conflict of interest as identified by the attorney that represents us. So your conflict of interest precludes your testimony as a commissioner on this subject. So we'll move on to ballot unique identifier.
I would like you to
We'll raise that
recognize
next
me
month.
and let me speak, please.
No,
I need to speak
you have
about this.
conflict. You
Rule
cannot
one-
be a commissioner on this subject.
I'm talking about the conflict of interest that the Deputy Attorney General has. Under Rule
And I accepted that. We're not going to argue that now. It's not on
I'd
the.
like to read it so the public hears it and the public knows what the Deputy Attorney General is doing. He is the defense attorney for the Office of
It's
Election.
not on.
And he is purposefully,
and ballot
let me
unique
speak,
identifier.
please. Let me
No,
speak.
No,
He is
no, you
purposefully
have a conflict of
ruling,
interest here.
he is purposefully ruling against me participating because
And I
he is
agree
the
with him.
defense attorney.
If
No,
anybody,
okay, but let the public hear this, okay?
the public.
Conflict of interest.
Because
the
it's a matter
represent-
of the public
The
record.
representation
on
of
the-
one client will be directly adverse to another client, then the attorney needs to recuse himself. He's representing two agencies that were created by a statute. The Office of Elections was
That's
created
not
by a
on the
statute,
agenda. And
and him speaking was not on the agenda either. So the Office of Elections is created by a statute.
we're talking
and
about the agenda
Elections
item now is
Commission
ballot unique identifier.
created by a
If you want to
statute.
talk about
He
ballot
cannot-
unique identifier,
He
you can
cannot
continue.
represent
Otherwise,
both.
I'll ask that you be muted.
He cannot represent both the commission and the Office of
Please.
Election.
Please mute this conflict of interest commissioner until we talk about ballot unique identifiers. Anyone a comment on ballot unique identifiers? I do. I think that a unique ballot identifier put on the ballot prior to my voting it compromises the confidentiality of my vote. That unique ballot identifier is sent to me. I vote it. That means that my vote is no longer private and confidential. I think that unique ballot identifiers are for the purpose of the vendor, not for the voter. And I think the unique ballot identifier be limited to precinct. Precincts are how our laws are set up for audits and other votes, to where I suggest that a unique ballot identifier be limited to the precinct. After that, my vote, I don't want my vote identified with a unique ballot identifier. It compromises the confidentiality of my vote. Any other commissioners would like to comment on that? In that case, voting and ballot metrics. I mentioned those before: registered voters, ballots mailed, mailed ballots returned, counted, mail ballots returned deficient, and ballots undeliverable. I would ask for those metrics to be presented to the meeting, our next month's Elections Commission meeting. Are there any other comments on that? So I would entertain a motion for executive session for the purpose of approving the minutes of the executive session of November 15th, 2023. I would ask for a motion from the commissioners to go into executive session for the sake of validating the minutes of the last executive session meeting.
So moved for the purpose you stated. This is Commissioner Andrion.
Yeah, I can second that.
Thank you. All those in favor of going into executive session for the purpose of approving the minutes of the executive session of the meeting of November 15th?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. I would ask that we go into executive session now. Thank you.
Hey, Chair, give me a minute to get you folks into the executive session.
Thank you.
taking away those going outside marketing, I don't see a problem with.
Mm.
We're back in regular session.
We're back in regular session. I'm going to take roll call to ensure all commissioners are back.
Thank you.
Chair Curtis,
Here.
Commissioner Andrion,
Here.
Commissioner Aquino,
Here.
Commissioner Kushney, Commissioner Kikuchi,
Here.
Commissioner Kawada,
Present.
Commissioner McAdam,
Present.
Commissioner Papalimu, Commissioner Papalimu,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sakinaka.
Yeah, you're muted, but that's okay. I see.
And I do see Commissioner Kushney.
I'm here. We went through executive session. You kept my mic muted. So you couldn't hear any votes that I did.
You would have recused anyhow because you weren't in the meeting to approve the minutes. I would, there is a discussion to go into executive session again for the purpose of discussing the performance of Scott Nago. For, in addition to the agenda, requires a 2/3 approval of the commissioners. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing Scott Nago's performance?
Yes. I make that motion.
I think it should be discussed in public.
Is there a second?
I second.
So it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the performance of the chair of the Chief Elections Officer, Scott Nago.
Well, it's not about to discuss the performance. It's to discuss the metrics in order to rate the performance. We haven't done any, we were talking about this in the last meeting. What were the metrics we were going to be using in order to do this? And they were saying it was this list of questions they had. And
I'm
that would be
sorry. The motion is
So-
to go into executive session, right?
For the
To
purpose of
discuss.
discussing Scott Nago's performance. Metrics is a portion of it, and we can.
Oh, okay, great. As long as
So,
metrics
so
is a portion.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, isn't this motion a motion to amend
amend
the
the agenda.
agenda?
Yes,
Okay, so it is not a motion to retire into executive session. It is a motion to amend the agenda.
Correct.
Is that correct?
technically correct, yes.
Okay, and that motion requires a supermajority of 6 affirmative votes.
That's correct.
If the motion has been made and seconded, I'd like to speak against the motion.
Okay, discussion.
The motion, I think, is ill-timed. Something as important as this should be on the agenda, the regular session agenda, so that the public has an opportunity to testify on it should they wish to. In this event, I don't know how many of the public are present to testify. Another question I have is whether or not public testimony would have to be reopened to accept public testimony from whoever is here of the public. So I would suggest that this be put on a future meeting agenda as opposed to amending the agenda to include it now.
Additional discussion, Dylan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to concur with Commissioner Kawada. I think it is ill-timed. I think the public would appreciate knowing in advance that that would be discussed in executive session. And I actually share the opinion that it should be done in public as well. I would entertain the motion to amend the agenda for the purpose of discussing the metrics of evaluation, strictly the metrics. I think the public would be forgiving on that and on us just getting together the rubric and stuff
No.
on that.
No.
But outside of that, I would not vote in favor of going into executive session to evaluate the chief election officer today.
Thank you. Cynthia?
Okay, so today, when we're talking the metrics, right? And all the stuff we talked about last time at the meeting, how you're gonna measure, right? Standards and all that stuff.
This discussion
No,
is motion
wait.
on the table.
Say what?
This
Yeah,
discussion
so,
is The motion on the table. Do you want to go into executive session or not? And why not?
okay. I thought that we were gonna go back into executive session to discuss a few things and just come back right out, right? Because to me, what Dylan just said about the metrics part, I think people should have advance notice of that.
Yes.
And so if we're gonna talk about that in like now in our regular session, then I don't think we're ready for that today. So
Okay.
when I talk about executive session, going into executive session, I just wanted to be clear of what it is that we're gonna be talking about when we come back out. That's all.
Okay.
I have a discussion.
Yep.
We
On the motion.
continue to erode the public's confidence in the commission by continuing to go into the executive session. The last time that the evaluation came up, I believe there was quite a few people who did not have a favorable view of Scott Nago's performance. And then the commission went into the executive session, and then he was given a raise. And by not presenting that in public, erodes the confidence view of the commission. And I do not think any of that should be done behind closed doors.
Thank you. Other discussion from commissioners?
No, I'm sorry. This is Kahiolani, maker of the motion. I'm sorry, I did not understand. I was trying to make a motion just to go over metrics, not to have a discussion on his performance at this time, because I'm trying for myself to know what the metrics are that we're using. And so that is what my motion was for, only the metrics. If I have no problem with this being in public, so I will withdraw my motion and hope this is on our next agenda.
The motion's on the floor. It belongs to the commission. The commission, I'm going to ask for a vote on going into executive session for discussing Scott Nago's performance. All those in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman, question. I want to go back to what I said earlier. Isn't this motion to amend the agenda?
Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. It is a motion to amend the agenda for the sake of going into executive session.
Right, and I can withdraw my motion. Am I not correct?
You cannot.
Yes, but that's a second motion that has to be made. This is to amend the agenda.
Right, and I can
No.
pull my.
No, you cannot. Once you've made a motion and it's been seconded, it belongs to the commission. I would ask, I suspect the commission would vote this down, and that's why I'll call the vote. All those in favor of going into executive session for discussing Scott Nago's performance, say aye. All opposed, and I'm sorry, Mr.
No, for adjusting the agenda.
Add to the agenda an executive session for the purpose of discussing Scott Nago. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
No.
Abstentions, the motion dies. Now, did you want to make a motion to discuss the metrics of the performance of the last election?
And Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, this would be an open session?
Yes.
This,
And it would
this,
be- it would be the metrics.
this matter is not on the agenda. So
That's
you'd
right.
have to vote to amend the agenda.
That's right. And that's what I'm entertaining the motion for, if anybody wants to make it.
No, I have a question before I answer that. Are we going to put this on our next meeting's agenda?
Yes,
we
I
going
will.
to-
I promise.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Any other discussion for today?
So
Yes.
Mike, I'm
Yes.
sorry, it's Cynthia.
Yes.
So prior to the next meeting, it's going, I mean, it's going to be on the agenda. Can we ask commissioners to provide their input in terms of what metrics they're looking at prior to the meeting so that we can have an idea coming into the meeting?
Absolutely.
Because, go ahead.
Plus, I would ask the commissioners for any feedback and request for agenda items based on the testimony or the other information that we received at this meeting to be discussed in more detail at the next meeting, which is one of the purposes where I'd hope to have monthly meetings. And is this, what's this today? Tuesday is the second Tuesday. What Tuesday is it? Let's see. This is the third Tuesday. Would the commission be interested in having meetings the third Tuesday of every month at 1 p.m.? Would anybody be opposed to that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, quite frankly, I have to look at my calendar. I have
Understood.
appointment schedule. I don't want to leave the meeting to consult my calendar. So perhaps the secretary can poll the commissioners and we can respond to the secretary.
Okay, I think that's a good idea, but I would like to have monthly meetings regularly scheduled, like whether the first or second Tuesday at 1, we can agree to. Was that acceptable to the commission?
Third Tuesday.
Yes, that's acceptable.
Third Tuesday, 1 p.m. tentatively, unless anybody have any strong objections, and monthly up till this election, because it's going to be, we have issues.
So who can they send their ideas to?
I would ask that the commissioners address it to the commission, and each of those things become public record because it involves more than 3 of us. So, or to the secretary, and the secretary can advance it to me, and then it doesn't necessarily become public record until it becomes an agenda item or public testimony addressed to the whole commission. If it's addressed to the whole commission, it has to be public testimony, and that's where the communications and correspondence is what I would add to the public record as part of the agenda.
So, Mr. Chairman, it's going to be okay for us to send in our comments, ideas to the secretary and have her compile it. And that's not going to be in violation.
Well, and then she would send it to me for my decision to put it on the agenda. If there are enough commissioners that have enough significant issues to put on the agenda, I'll include it. And that's the purpose of the monthly meetings, is to.
Yeah, but I'm only talking the metrics right now, Mike.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay.
And we're asking for metrics measuring the performance of the chief elections officer. I'm also asking for feedback from the commissioners of significant issues that were raised during the public testimony or sent in public testimony that are part of this record and part of the package that was attached to the agenda for all of us to see.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. If Mr. Nakamura is still present, would it be appropriate to address Mr. Nakamura the question as to whether or not this procedure is proper? I don't want us to all do this and then find out later on that we somehow run afoul of sunshine law, for example, or.
We can ask Nakamura, but my take is that if 3 or more of us are involved, it has to be disclosed and made a part of the public record. And that's what I would include in agenda with the agenda package, to any correspondence addressed to the commission which means all of us, would become part of the public record and be made a part of the package with the agenda that we send. I would ask Mr. Nakamura to comment.
Yes, commissioners.
Hang on a second. Mr. Nakamura is conflicted according to Rule 1.7. The representation of one client will be directly adverse to another client. There is significant risk that a representation of one or more clients will be materially limited by a lawyer's responsibilities to another client. He's representing two clients. He's representing the Office of Elections and he's representing the Elections Commissions. Those two offices were both enacted by a statute. He cannot represent both of the clients.
I don't
Mr.
think.
Chairman, I think you've already ruled on this.
Us. Mr. Kawato?
I concur with the chair, and I do represent the body, not any particular commission. As to
You
Mr.
have attorney-client privilege with the Office of Elections?
We represent, our office represents the Office of Elections.
Do you have attorney-client privilege?
I'm not going to opine on this issue.
Well, it's important because if you have attorney-client privilege, you cannot represent the commission.
I don't think he represents us.
I'm not going to get into
advises
this,
us.
Commissioner. As to Mr. Kawada's question on the sunshine, we'll have to look into that. We could, you could send your concern to the Office of Elections. And you know, I'll have to look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But it's my understanding that any communication between three or more commissioners requires public disclosure, who is involved, and the nature of the discussion. I think that public disclosure would become a part of the agenda and be made part of the package that's distributed for the sake of complying with the Sunshine Law. If three of us have a discussion, we need to disclose it, the situation, who's involved, and what was discussed. And we need to disclose that to comply with the Sunshine Law. It doesn't say that we can't get together. It says that we can, but we have to disclose the nature of our discussion and the purpose of it. That's my reading of the Sunshine Law. We have to.
Did they bring the Sunshine Law back? Because I know they did away with it during the pandemic. Did they bring it back?
Oh, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I don't think it was, it may have been suspended for some
It was
purposes,
suspended, yes. It was
but-
suspended during the pandemic. I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything about them bringing it back. So I would ask, I was asking.
I think it's applicable.
Oh, I do too. I absolutely.
And for general purposes of not, in fact, the law. We need to.
Absolutely, I agree. I just had not heard that they brought it back in.
Chair Curtis, can I make one more comment on method of evaluation? This has actually been on our agenda a couple times in past meetings. And so I remember there being a questionnaire that we all looked at together. If I could request that get resent to us, I think the secretary sent that to us because that can be a building block for our method of evaluation.
I think the challenge was that it wasn't building block enough and we needed more measurable criteria. And that's the metrics that we're discussing.
Which you've identified some of them in this meeting. So thank you.
So Mike,
Yes.
when we go to the next meeting next month, there's got to be a way where we can see what people have contributed. So maybe, you know, we're going to have to do a share screen kind of thing where somebody can, you know, type in stuff and other things, because otherwise, you know, it's just going to be all over the place.
I think
We need to think about how we're going to organize it while we're in the meeting. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Thank you.
I got a discussion. If the commissioners are going to contribute something, how is that not a conflict?
That's your role as a commissioner.
Right, and I did the same thing and you're telling me I'm conflicted.
Yours wasn't a commentary, it was a challenge, but yes.
So the public has been testifying on these issues for several years. What they want to know is when we're going to investigate something. And I think we should vote on getting some formal investigations going on these topics that have been on the agenda.
At the next meeting, you can offer a request for an investigation and have it voted on by the commission, as I was voted down a couple meetings ago. Yes, Dylan.
Eric, couldn't he make a motion for investigation on one of the agenda items from today?
You could, yes.
I make a motion
Commissioner
to investigate chain of custody. And
is there a second?
There's a second, Commissioner Andrion.
Discussion.
Well, I have an ask, just because I'm new, so forgive me. I may be ignorant on some of these subjects. A lady who testified asked directly for an investigation into the chain of custody. The description for the commission that I became a member of states that we are required to investigate when these things are brought to our attention. So I'm kind of confused as to why we now need a motion to do our job.
I don't think we're required to investigate based on a request of one voter. I think the investigation is initiated by at least a majority of this commission and with limits and identities. And I think that this investigation the initial part would be asking each one of the responsible parties, being the counties, the chain of custody procedures that they have and how we want to proceed from there.
And you've requested that from them already?
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
That would be what I perceive would be the initial step of an investigation if we pursue a formal investigation with the majority vote of this commission.
And Chair, if we pursue a formal investigation, does that hearing take place in one of our regular meetings, or do we schedule a special meeting for a
Separate
hearing?
investigation reported back to the commission.
So we'll probably have a lot of repeat testimony and people submitting, but I think it's worth it. I think the public is ready. We have been waiting and we just never have had a chair to direct us in actually making a formal investigation. So I hope all of our commissioners will support the motion to investigate chain of custody. Furthermore, I think what the commission has power to do is just make a recommendation to the Office of Election, and it's the chief election officer who actually adopts or makes any changes. So to that end, I don't know how much we can do, because it's Scott that would make the final adoption, which makes whoever we have as the chief election officer so important. They're in line with the public and in line with this commission. With that, I yield, and I hope everyone will support the motion.
I'd like to say the law is already on the books. It's already there and it's not being enforced.
Right, but we could recommend that there's legislation to change that law to be more specific.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the motion that hasn't been made?
No,
is this something that I was just going to ask you? Is this something, since we have representatives from the county, where you could just go ahead and ask them for that initial information right now?
We could. We have 2 of the 4 counties here. I believe they're still here. I don't know. Is there any other discussion on the motion to investigate the chain of custody from the commissioners?
I think I would like to hear from the counties first before we pass a motion as to start investigation.
Then I can specifically put that on the agenda for the next meeting. And we can see, depending on your vote here, we can see if an investigation is beyond that is necessary. Right now, I'll ask the counties for their input on their chain of custody and how the integrity and the security of the ballots is handled. Actually, the physical paper ballots. That's the chain of custody that we're talking about. And
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
Yes.
I just want the commission to understand that the county conducts county elections and it participates with the state in conducting state elections. If commissioners believe that we are going to be able to promulgate a rule requiring the county to do any number of things with regard to chain of custody, I'm not sure that type of rule would be possible. We are a state body. The county has its own election apparatus. And it could be that cooperation could be discussed between the State Office of Elections and the respective county election officers, who would be the clerks. And perhaps that might be an alternative method or means to achieve what you're trying to achieve. That's all I have. Thank you.
I concur, and that's why I always refer back to the state and county responsibilities. In your package had a link to each of the laws that applied, assigning those responsibilities, the laws and regulations. And this investigation may suggest that some of these laws and regulations be changed to more secure our election. But it is worthy of looking into. I don't know if it's worthy of an investigation. Your vote will determine that. And then I think asking the counties for their metrics and their chain of custody security, and perhaps act from there. But the motion on the floor is for an investigation of chain of custody by the counties. Is there any more discussions? Dylan?
Just one last comment. I don't think I've only been a part of the commission for so long, but I haven't seen this commission in its years conduct an investigation. So, and I think the public is just tired of seeing it on the agenda as a talking point and there not being action taken. And so therefore, that's again, why I want to support this motion to put some formal, I think it's time to put some formal action into play and put the accountability on the different parties that we're asking for information. And the public gets to say, we're doing something for them. We're not just coming together to talk stories. So again, I support the motion and I hope the other commissioners will do so as well. Thank you, Chair.
Is there any more discussion by the commissioners?
Roll call, Mr. Chairman.
Nettie, could you call the roll on the vote on this investigation of chain of custody?
Yes, Chair. Chair Curtis?
I would ask that I be asked last.
Commissioner Andrion?
Aye.
Commissioner Kushney?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Kushney is recused because the topic relates to chain of custody.
I reject that notion. That's got to be resolved right now. I reject that outright. You cannot take the House Minority Leader vote out of here. I'm on the commission precisely for the work that I've done investigating these issues. I'm bringing proof that the counties and the state do not keep chain of custody. You cannot keep me from voting on this.
For the record, this is Reese Nakamura, the Attorney General. If you proceed with this vote, as we've previously discussed, we've asked that you be recused. And so to proceed with this vote is contrary to legal advice that we give.
And Mr. Kushney, you just made the argument that you're not unbiased. So we recuse you from this vote.
I reject that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kikuchi?
No.
Commissioner Kawada?
No.
Commissioner McAdam?
No.
Commissioner Papalimu,
Aye.
Commissioner Takenaka,
No.
and Commissioner Aquino is excused. She had to leave the meeting.
They're not swag surfing.
And Chair Curtis.
I'm gonna abstain because, but as it stands now, the vote is 4-2 no. Even with Mr. Cushnie's yes, it would still be a no. So I'll add that to the agenda for this motion is killed. It will be on the agenda for next meeting regarding the metrics that we were. Is there anything else from the?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a question regarding the last vote. What was the vote? It was, I'm a little confused as to what the final vote was. You said you abstained. Mr. Cushnie is recused.
Which makes me the solo aye. Thank you so much, everyone.
No, I
No,
no.
yeah, Commissioner.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner
Voted
Papalimu.
aye. So
I
was
heard the majority of people who testified today asking for this commission to investigate. And here we all are after listening for 3 hours to them.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. My question is on the
wanting
floor before the body.
investigate.
Mr. Chairman,
You are
all
on
I'm
mute, Chair.
asking is confirmation of what the vote was. Can the secretary repeat what the vote was?
There's 5 no's or 4 no's and 2 yeses.
Yes, I can confirm that. Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, move to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Chair, can I just request maybe the whole situation with the deputy AG and Commissioner Cushnie's conflict of interest be sorted out before the next commission or a part of the agenda, however that works. I would hate to continue without Commissioner Cushnie's input and say here, especially as he's been appointed to the commission, he deserves to have a voice on these matters. And I think the public would agree. So Chair, however you see fit to sort that out, that's why you're the chair, and thankful for your leadership.
Thank you. And we'll ask the AG for a written opinion and we'll adjourn the meeting right now. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to have a comment, please, before we end.
On the motion to adjourn.
The AG Reese Nakamura.
Wait. This is the motion to adjourn.
It has to be with respect to the motion.
He cannot.
The table is
the motion, Mr. Chairman, the motion on the floor is to adjourn the meeting.
I agree.
And we're talking discussion about adjourning.
Concur.
No.
Reese cannot make the decision.
No, Mr. Chairman.
The motion is to adjourn. If you'd like to discuss the adjournment, fine. Otherwise, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We'll see you next month. Thank you very much for your time.